Hello, and welcome to the Great Game Debate podcast, where friends come together to discuss video games and our lives. I'll be your host, Caden Barthay Lane, and joining me, as always, is the godfather of the Great Game Debate himself, Jonah Gomez. How you doing, buddy?
What's up, my dude? I'm glad to have you back, man.
Yeah, I had a nice little break there, but it does feel good to come back. I have to say, I actually listened to the last episode. I normally don't listen to them, but since I wasn't on that one, it was actually really fun to listen to it, as a fresh experience. And of course, we're also joined by my man Wes Bates coming in from the closet. And just want to give a shout out to you, buddy, for the doing hosting in my stead while I was gone. You did a great job.
Thank you. Yeah, it was fun. I got to say, I'm a lot less tense going into this episode than I was last episode.
Yeah, sit back and chill.
Yeah, man. Now it's all gravy, baby.
I have to say, I hate I missed out on the back of the box trivia because I knew almost all of those, and like
I know we were going through them, and those guys were like, "I don't know any of this," and I'm like, "Man, if Caden were here, he'd be cleaning house." You or Steven probably would both be like ripping through that.
Yeah. Well, our special guest this week, who I have the honor of introducing, is Ryan Stabell from the Spelunkers podcast. How you doing, man?
Hooray!
Hey, thanks so much for having me. I'm doing great.
Man, our audio listeners are missing out on this amazing mural of Pokemon you have behind you as your background.
I'm selling the video version. All right, that's what I do.
Yeah, man.
Well,
it's time for an upgrade. We all need to get better backgrounds.
Yeah.
Hey, I think my background's not too bad. I got all my wife's plans.
It's classy.
My Zelda stuff, and my
It's
daughter's
pretty cool.
awesome Princess Pink lounge chair.
And at night, you rock out the blue LEDs on the bottom of your couch, your cyber couch, your killer cyber couch.
He gets his sword and shield down off the wall. And he's just.
We should start a podcast.
It's like one of those Japanese Zelda commercials, right?
Yeah.
All the
Break it to a hip hop dance routine.
Yeah, exactly.
But honestly, with all the information our private detective West has given us on you, Ryan, I feel like we could honestly do a whole podcast interviewing you, but fortunately we don't have that kind of time, so we're just gonna have to hit the greatest hits. But here, it seems like you're a bit of a prolific guy. You had a stint once upon a time, we're gonna be a barber, and now you're a locksmith, right? And then you moonlight as a mechanic, and you have 3 podcasts. But just on the podcast front, actually, before I got here, I was sitting in the laundromat parking lot. I was listening to the most recent episode of your Ask a Locksmith podcast, and that was fascinating stuff. I guess the average person doesn't really know or realize how much goes into that, and I appreciated your safety tips in that episode of knowing how to identify untrustworthy scammer fake locksmiths. They're just going to drill your lock off or something like that,
Yeah, well, I think the biggest, it's a concern, especially when you work in the security industry. You don't want to be questioning if the person getting you into your home's the right person to get you into your home, because there's nothing to stop them from getting into your home, and now they know where you live. But the biggest thing is they're just going to try and get you for way more money than the job is necessary for. A lockout for me, and this will vary a little bit depending on where you live, is like $130 to $150. So if you see anyone claiming they'll come out and open your door for $20, it's a scam. That's like the first big red flag I can tell you.
How did just real quick, how did you find yourself in the locksmithing profession? That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, that all came about because of Reddit. I was just browsing Reddit one day. There was an Ask Reddit thread about hobbies anyone can get into for little to no money, and lock picking was one of those hobbies. So I made my own lock pick set, which is not that difficult to do, and I started picking padlocks as just a hobby while I was watching TV, YouTube, whatever.
Wow.
And did that for like 5 or 6 months before I realized people get paid to do that, and I started an apprenticeship, and now I'm drilling safes open. It's been 5 years, and I love it. Yeah,
that's cool, dude.
I was
Don't ever
fascinated.
say that. Don't ever say that Reddit didn't change anybody's life.
Yeah. I was pretty fascinated to hear in your most recent episode that like the safe cracking antics in the Italian job are actually like pretty accurate and realistic.
Yeah, that's of all the movies that feature various ways to get through physical security, they do the best job of giving an accurate depiction.
Very cool. I have to ask, if you are an RPG player, when you play them, do you gravitate towards, the stealth characters who lockpick and stuff like that?
Yeah, I
Great
do.
question.
I every time I start a new run in Skyrim, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna do mage this time, or a two-handed heavy, and it always just reverts back to stealth archer with a lot of lockpicking.
Yeah. Oh,
That's me too. That's me
what
too.
is
Way to
in your
go.
experience the perhaps the most accurate lockpicking mini game in any game that you've played?
Ooh, of the games that I've played, Assassin's Creed Unity of all things has
Oh, I haven't even
my-
seen the lockpicking in that.
yeah, they have a good depiction of like the internals of a cylinder, and it's not perfect, but it's a good accurate depiction of what it should look like. It's not like Skyrim or any Bethesda lockpicking where it's just rotating one thing and trying.
And pushing with the screwdriver. Have you played the OG Splinter Cell, like the first one? Because they got a pretty cool lockpick mini game in there.
I have not played the OG Splinter Cell.
Yeah, so for some reason Sam Fisher just puts a gadget up and he can see the cylinder with all the pins in it, and then you gotta like actually move them up and like keep rotation on the lock cylinder. It's kind of cool.
That sounds pretty good by that description. Yeah. Have to check that out.
I have to ask, are lockpicks as easy to break as the Elder Scrolls games lead you to believe?
Not in any way, shape, or form. I've been picking locks multiple times a week for years now. I've broken 2 picks. It almost never happens.
How hard do you have to crank on a lockpick to snap it off? Like
Really hard. Yeah, it is. I've got a set of like 15 or 20 picks that I keep on me, just little different profiles or different thicknesses for varying locks. And like I said, I've broken less than a handful. It's not that common.
Gotcha. Elder Scrolls is ripping us off. Well, anyway, just to give a shout out real quick to your other podcast, Gotta Rank 'em All. I guess as people could tell from your background, you must be a pretty big Pokemon fan, but you guys are taking on the enormous task of ranking the Pokemon 20 at a time each episode, right? Is that how
That's correct.
that works? That's fascinating. And I know we had... Oh, go ahead, sir.
Where it's all the standard Pokemon, all different regional variants, the Mega variants, and the Gigantamax versions in one full list.
How many Pokemon total is that?
1,018.
Oh, no thanks. No, thank you.
And you're just a little less than a third of the way, right?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're making good progress.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
So who's number 1 right now?
That actually changed recently.
Ooh.
Number 1 is Decidueye.
Nice.
Oh, you moved Decidueye into number 1.
Mm-hmm.
He's a cool one.
Whoa.
Okay.
It was Charizard before, wasn't it?
Mega Charizard.
Mega
X.
Charizard. Okay.
Yeah.
I hate
So-
to ask, but where does my beloved Golduck fall on the list now?
Ooh, I could look. We could get a live update. Let me check. I want to say still pretty high.
I'm scared to ask, honestly. Like when I was on the show,
One of
we
my
put him
heart.
into the top 10, and then the show immediately following that, I think Bob Buell was on, and he immediately got kicked like 5 minutes into the show. I'm like, oh god.
Golduck is sitting at number 39.
Wow,
That's not so bad.
Dropped quite a bit. I
Yeah.
guess he's still in like the top 10% almost.
Yeah.
Hey,
All
Katie,
right.
what's your favorite Pokemon?
My favorite
Typhlosion.
Pokemon?
Oh, Katie.
Yeah.
Dude, it's funny you say that. Mine is for Alligator, which, also Gen 2 final. Gen 2 is my first Pokemon game, and, I was like 8 or whatever, and just grinded my Feraligatr like level 100 and chomped through the Elite Four, so it's got a place in my heart. Love that big boy.
I'd have to say my favorite is Chimchar. I love how, like, he's got, like, that cuteness that
He's so
Charmander
cute.
does, but, like, he's a monkey, and I love monkeys.
Yeah.
So, like,
Yeah,
it's
dude.
cool.
Well, I'd ask what put Decidueye over the top of Mega Charizard, but that's probably a good incentive for listeners to go check out the episode. So,
Yeah.
Well, your other podcast is Spelunkers, right? Now, I haven't actually listened to Spelunkers, so I don't really know what the deal is. If you want to give us like a explanation of what it's all about for the
Oh,
listeners.
absolutely. We are a game club podcast. I know you.
Ah,
Yeah, I know GGD does game clubs all the time,
Mhm.
and that is
mhm.
all we do as a podcast. We go from game to game, breaking them down into 2 or 3 chunks at a time, usually, and then reconvening every other week to talk about them in exhaustive detail.
Very cool.
It's really, really good. I've listened to a number of them.
Mhm.
I know that we did Plague Tale for our game club, but a lot of people are getting back into Plague Tale. So if
Yeah.
you're listening to this podcast right now and you're playing Plague Tale for the first time, or maybe even doing a successive playthrough, I definitely recommend going back to the Plague Tale podcast that the Spelunkers did, because it was really, really good. You guys had a lot of good insights and commentary.
I adore that game. It is so good.
I know,
Yeah.
it's wonderful.
So thrilled to be getting a sequel. I didn't see that coming. That's
Heck
amazing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Ryan, was there anything specifically like an episode you wanted to plug for Spelunkers, or maybe like a favorite game that you guys did?
We're doing Okami right now. I've really been enjoying that.
Oh,
Yeah.
number one Okami fan right here with
Yeah.
Wes.
The Resident Evil 7
Nice.
we did
okay.
in one episode. I'm not a horror game. That was really the first horror game I ever played. It's a long one. It's, I want to say, close to 5 hours because we
Holy
did
cow.
it in one go. Yeah, but it is a very good podcast. I like that episode a lot.
All right, well, that's awesome. Before we move on, I want to pick your brain a little bit about some extra information, some intel Wes gave us. I think he said 2 of your favorite games are Borderlands 2 and Bloons 2D. Is that right?
No, it's Bloons Tower Defense.
Yeah.
Tower Defense, TD.
Yeah.
Tower Defense, gotcha. Well, I have to admit I'm slightly more curious about Bloons Tower Defense. If you wanted to give us some insight and install the virtues of this game I've never heard of.
Yeah, I've been playing Bloons Tower Defense since 3 on Flash games. I've played them all at this point, but 3 was where I like hopped into the series. They're on number 6 now. It's on Steam and mobile. You play at, it's a tower defense game, right? So you set things up more than you're actually like playing. But you're setting up towers of monkeys to pop balloons. These balloons are
That sounds crazy.
trying to overrun the countryside, and the only thing to stop them are a bunch of monkeys with darts. And the series has gotten significantly more ridiculous over the years. Like, it just started as a way to not do classwork during computer class in school.
Yep.
And has since grown to these monkeys having 50 cal snipers, aircraft carrier ships. It's wild.
Oh, but what?
Oh yeah, I remember
playing
in
this.
3 when you just like upgrade a monkey all the way, and then it's basically just a monkey with this Superman costume on, and it just shoots lasers out of its eyes.
Yeah,
to pop
that
the
monkey
balloons.
can now go one of 3 different paths. It can
there's
shoot
different
lasers.
paths.
Yeah,
you've
it
got
can
like branching upgrade paths to the
branching
monkeys.
upgrades. Yep.
This is Fire Emblem.
Let's see. So that super monkey can now become a sun god, a literal god that shoots plasma rays out of its eyes. It can become
that's awesome.
better than Terminator as a giant laser shooting robotic monkey, or it can become literal Batman. Bat monkey.
God.
Okay, so when did this game come out and what platforms is it on?
The most current one is on PC and mobile. I don't know if it's on anything more than that. Let me look. But I want to say the first one had to have come out in like 2005, 2007.
I'm pretty sure it was just like a Newgrounds game, right? And it progressed. It like just kept going up and up, and then
I hope those guys are millionaires. It sounds like they deserve it.
Probably. You had to start paying for them after 4, right?
Yeah, but I mean, it's like $5.
Yeah, it's $5.
Oh, nice. So it's not like a freemium type of game. It's like a premium. You just purchase it.
Yeah.
No, it's and once you get it, like there's RPG skill trees that like increase the ability of your towers. So like as you play, you personally level up. That increases their abilities, and there are dozens and dozens of maps, and each map has 4 different base difficulties you play it on, along with varying modified difficulties. So like this map on medium difficulty, but with only military towers. This map on hard difficulty, but with only magic towers.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a lot. There's a lot to do.
How much time could someone expect to put into this game if they want to like 100% it?
100% it? It's probably got a comma in it. I have
no.
several hundred hours, I would guess, between mobile and PC because there's fully cross save. So any progress I make playing at work reverts to progress on PC. And cool. I do not have every single ribbon on all of those maps by a long shot. I don't even have every single ribbon for all of the beginner difficulty maps, let alone medium, hard, or extreme difficulty.
And you got to remember, this is like the perfect, like, put in the window of your screen, and you can just like let this run while you're playing something else or watching whatever.
Play the unit, go back to work.
Yeah.
This podcast sponsored by Bloons.
Yeah. So you're telling me Bloons 2D has cross save, but Monster Hunter World doesn't? Come on, Capcom. You start open your game to compete with the big dogs. Bloons 2D. I mean, tower defense. Well, Joe, it sounds like you have experience with this series. Have you played this one?
Yeah, it's got monkeys. Of course it does.
This is a new facet to Joe's personality that I didn't realize before this episode with Chimchar and Bloons 2D. Did not realize he was a monkey stan.
I played a lot of this in middle school and high school. Like you said, it was like just the way to skip doing computer class. So you pull it up in like that loop, like workaround window. You just find that website that lets you browse stuff through a window that hasn't been locked out by the school district. You play Bloons Tower Defense on it, and you have a second tab open. So when the teacher walks by, you just minimize it real quick. And the nice thing about that game is it runs in the background. So you're killing Bloons, you're racking up that score, and you're pretending to do schoolwork, because that's all I did. I barely graduated.
Man, I feel so bad for the youth of today that just won't have that experience because Flash is dead.
They just are on their phone.
Yep.
All right. Well, I know there's another game that you've put a huge amount of hours into, Ryan, which is Borderlands 2. What was that number again for your total playtime?
I've guesstimated about 2,500 hours.
Holy cow!
So explain to someone how one puts that much time into Borderlands 2. What's the ratio of single player to multiplayer here that we're talking?
Almost entirely multiplayer. This was near the tail end of my high school career, and I had two friends. Nice. My man Zero.
Yeah, Jonah's mousepad for the audio listeners.
I got that in a loot crate from. Well, my buddy got it in a loot crate, and he's like, "I don't have a PC. You want this?" I was like, "Okay, sure."
So he's a fake fan.
Yeah, exactly. I never played as this character. I always played as the Siren.
So cool.
That was my guy when I played Borderlands 2.
Yeah,
I feel like most people played Zero. He's just the cool, cyborg ninjas as made famous by Hideo Kojima. Am I right? But as you're saying, right?
Yeah, Zero was my first character to run through with, but I wound up being a Maya main because we really needed a solid healer, and the elemental abilities of Maya are just through the roof.
Yeah,
cool. This was near like the tail end of my high school career. I didn't quite have a job yet, so the games that I got, I would play a lot, and I had a group of friends.
Those were the days.
Yeah, exactly. And it was me and two buddies who we loved Borderlands 1. I probably have like 1,000 hours in Borderlands 1. And when 2 came out, we were just extremely hyped. We played it nonstop for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. And even after other games would come out, we'd always wind up coming back to Borderlands. Oh, we want to hunt for this weapon. Got to hunt for this weapon. All the new DLC came out. Oh, it released on PlayStation 4. Let's get on PlayStation 4 and play together again. Oh, we got to do this character. Oh, we got to do this. And I mean, I own it on PS3, PS4, PC, PS Vita. I own Borderlands 2 on.
Wow, I didn't realize that was a thing. I don't think even Resident Evil 4 can say it's on PS Vita.
And I mean, of course, I've moved up to play Borderlands 3. I think it's a better experience overall, but I would say Borderlands 2 still has a significantly better story. I could go through that story a dozen more times before I get tired of it. The characters are great. The pacing's phenomenal. It's just a really great game to spend your time in. There's always something more for you to hunt. There's always some new weapon to try and track down. The boss fights are a ton of fun. There's always new character builds to try. It's a little aged at this point, you know. If you go back and play it now, there's no like vaulting over things. It just feels a little of its time, but it's still a fun time.
So
Yeah,
How
that's
excited
awesome.
are you for Tiny Tina's Wonderland?
I'm cautiously optimistic. My least favorite Borderlands is the pre-sequel. So anytime it's not the main team working on the next mainline game, I'm looking forward to it because I think Tiny Tina's Assault on Dragon Keep is probably the best DLC ever made for my money.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really good.
have you played the New Vegas DLC?
in 3?
No.
no,
in
Fallout
Fallout New Vegas, Steve.
Fallout
Yeah.
New Vegas.
Curveball.
No, I haven't. I've only played the main game of New Vegas.
Okay, I need you to leave now, go play that, and then
Yep.
come back to me,
And
and
then Wes
then
is
you will
like,
have the
I
correct
need
answer.
you to play Blood and Wine, and then they're like, I need you to play
No.
Monster Hunter Ice Lord.
Hearts of Stone.
Oh, that's
Hayden.
your favorite one.
Hearts of
Gotcha.
Stone.
Sorry,
Blood and
got
Wine is
it wrong.
also excellent, but
Yeah,
let's
just
get it right
edges it
here.
out.
All right, to rewind back to Borderlands, what did you think of Tales from the Borderlands, the Telltale game?
I had a lot of fun. I didn't play those until just before the release of 3 when they were finally confirmed to be canon. And it is the only Tales game I've played. I've never played any of the other Telltale games. And I had a good time. They introduced fun characters. It was a good story.
That is my only platinum trophy, is Tales from the Borderlands.
You just have to beat it.
Yeah.
That's how you get the
That's
fun.
Yeah, pretty much.
Easy plat.
Yeah, it's very easy plat.
Easy.
All right, I've never beaten a Telltale game before. I
Uh.
always peter out before the end. I'm like, I can't keep going with this. So
All I have to
tried
say,
several times.
is catch a ride.
Get your ride.
Catch a ride.
Complimentary
ride in
pimento taco. Yeah, I played Borderlands 1 a ton with my brothers back in the glory days of high school. None of us had jobs, and I love that game, and it's kind of a regret of mine that I've never had the time to get through Borderlands 2. So it sounds like I should really make some time for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, cool. Do you guys have any questions to pick Ryan's brain before we move on?
How does locksmithing?
Go ahead.
How does locksmithing merge with Bloons tower defense?
Get your phone, put it on top of the safe.
He just has a magnet on the back of his phone. He hooks it up to the safe, and you'd think the person's sitting there like, oh, he's got something to see inside, or an app that helps him figure it out, and it's just like a bunch of balloons going in circles with monkeys throwing darts at him. And it's like, yes, I'm working on your I'm working on your safe. I need one there.
So the real way they can interact, a lot of contracted commercial work, you get there, and even if it's like, oh, I just got to change the battery on this safe lock because the employees weren't smart enough to figure that out. No offense, any employees. You have to be there for 15 minutes, no matter what. So even if you're there to do a 1-minute job, you have to be on premises for 15 minutes. So it's change the battery, pull out my phone, play games for 15 minutes.
Wow, that's so interesting.
Mhm.
Wow.
What is that 15-minute stipulation for?
It's just a
I'm not
minimum
even
requirement, right?
Yeah, it's just some minimum requirement because it's not like a CVS or a Walgreens will call us directly. They call a company that calls us out. So we work as a subcontractor, and that's just one of the bylines from the subcontract or the contracting company.
Gotcha.
They probably get paid a surcharge that they have to be there a minimum of so long. Like I have to deal with surcharges with being a FedEx employee and stuff. So
All right, cool. But yeah, Wes, you had one more question, didn't you?
Oh yeah, I was just curious because always interested. Like, how did you and the rest of the Spelunkers get together?
Ooh.
What was the origins of your team, your super team?
So we all met in the MinMax server last year. It was just before Ghost of Tsushima was coming out, and I was already like talking with Tom quite a bit, and Chris. I was catching a lot of his streams. He had a better quest goal to like stream more and use that as a vehicle to be more social. So I was like, I'm gonna help him out his better quest and visit his streams and chat with him. And Tsushima was coming out, and MinMax wasn't going to cover it as a deep dive. And we were like, well, we really want to like dive into this game. We would love to do this. And we reached out to Tyler, who Tom had been talking with a little bit. He's got a podcast from Father to Son that he does with his son occasionally. And we were like, hey man, we'd love to like have you on if we could, just put the few podcasts we're going to do out there. He's like, yeah, that's perfect. I can just upload them that way. We'll get together and we'll cover Ghost of Tsushima. And after the second episode, we were like, we should just make this a podcast. We've got great chemistry. This is a fun time. We should just keep doing this. And we're very close to our 1 year anniversary, actually.
And Ryan's got
awesome.
a great
Awesome.
voice. That helps
Yes.
too.
Yeah, no, that's great. That MinMax Discord, just so many good things have come out of that.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Like our
I
good
don't,
friends, Draft
regardless of
Punks.
MinMax itself,
Yeah,
the
Draft
Discord's
Punks, yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Just kidding. I love MinMax. If you can't tell, I'm sporting my hat, so it's really cool.
Very cool. Well, I hope you guys killed Vermivorous on your way in to pick up your Norfleet rocket launcher, because it's time for the icebreaker. All right, we're doing something a little bit different this episode, so I'm going to turn it over to the Godfather himself, Jonah Gomez, to take it away.
What up, everybody? So we heard everyone's comments, complaints, irritations. You guys are called the Great Game Debate, and you guys don't do any debates. Well, guess what, everyone? It's time to get our debate on. For today's debate, we have Ryan, Captain Stubbs, representing PC versus Mr. Wes Bates, representing consoles. And these two gentlemen will be duking it out in an all-out
One
brawl.
night only, pay-per-view.
Paper listen.
Paper listen. I guess you could view it too. We record a video. Anyway, we're going on a tangent. We have a debate for you guys today, and this hopefully will be a recurring thing since you guys have been asking us for so long to do debates, and we'll throw in a little twist here and there. Like for today, our good pal Caden Berthay Lane is our assist trophy. And if you are wondering what is an assist trophy, the assist trophy adds 30 seconds to either their opening statement, rebuttal, or their closing statement.
Oh.
And he's a wild card. He will do whatever he
I
can.
murder my own mother for a PC.
To help his teammate out. Both contestants have the wild card, and they can use the assist trophy at any point, but only once. So, let's get this thing started. I'm going to flip a coin to see who goes first. Ryan,
Yes.
will you call it?
Heads.
Don't drop it.
It is heads. Would you like to go first or second?
I would like to go second.
Ooh. All right,
Make the
Wes.
man play.
All right, just really quickly though, before we get started, just a few more ground rules, right? So we have 2 minutes for the opener, 2 minutes for the rebuttal. How much time for the closer?
We'll do 2 minutes for the close as well.
Okay, so 2 minutes, 2 minutes, 2 minutes. So I get to go, then Ryan gets to give his opener, and then we'll both give rebuttals, and then we'll both give closers. That's right, right?
Exactly.
And
then,
anytime we want to call out our assist trophy, we can just say assist trophy, and then Caden jumps in for 30 seconds. And you're taking times on all this, right?
I am taking times.
Okay.
Let me know when you're ready to go.
Let's go.
All right.
All right, everybody.
2 minutes
Everybody's
on the
ready to hear me
clock.
em-
Starting
embarrass myself.
now.
Hey, do you remember back in the good old days on Christmas or your birthday, when all you really wanted to do was play video games, and that special moment when your folks or a relative or a friend like gave you that big package and you opened it up and it was like, oh my God, this is insane! I got a new video game console! Well, guess what? You can still have that experience today because video game consoles still exist and they're still amazing. Let's talk about the advantages of console gaming. You want an easy setup? You want a plug and play experience? That's what you get with console gaming. You boot it up, you plug it in. Maybe it's a little more complex. You got to create a profile now. But hey, you're usually playing within about 5 minutes of plugging that bad boy in. No problem. Easy squeezy. You want to talk about affordability? Hey, $400 to $500. You're in. You're playing the newest games. You want to talk about amazing AAA exclusive games? Console gaming is where it's at. You can play stuff like Bloodborne, which you still can't play on PC. It's an amazing game. If you haven't played Bloodborne, get out there and play Bloodborne. You want to talk about playing with people that you know sitting right next to you without having to buy 2 consoles? It's called couch co-op. You could do that with a console. It's amazing. I don't know that I've ever played couch co-op on a PC. Maybe it can be done. I'm not sure. I'm not sure anybody knows.
30
Anyway,
seconds.
console gaming is an amazing thing. You've got these really awesome, like, new things that you could do with, like, the Switch. You could pick it up and take it with you. I don't know. I don't really want to be lugging a big PC case down the street with me, but I sure do love taking my Switch with me on an airplane. That's really fun.
10 seconds.
So yeah, console gaming is where it's at. You should really go play your console. Play your new DualSense controller. It's amazing.
Time.
Wow, the snark. The levels of snark.
Wow.
So much snark.
Incredible.
Oh.
I could see he had notes, dude. I kept seeing him glancing at notes.
Oh.
He's prepared.
Wes was talking at the beginning of the show before we got started. He's like, I don't know, man. I don't know. I was like, oh, Wes is bringing the big guns today. Dang. All right, Ryan. Are you ready to rock and roll? Are you regretting going second?
No,
Oh,
absolutely not.
Oh, the confidence is real. All right.
Spotted the weakness.
Get ready to start in 3, 2, 1, go.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me just say I was born and raised a console gamer. I have a PS4, Series S, Nintendo Switch on my desk. But over the last year, since I built my gaming PC, 85% of my gaming time has been on PC. PC gaming gives a broader variety of experiences. So many more minor indie games come to PC only or first for an extended period of time, and many of those experiences come to you at a lower cost. Not to mention Steam sales tend to be steeper and broader in my experience than console sales. Also, a larger variety in game performance, better graphics and or frame rates than what you will find on console for prettier or smoother experiences, with the ability to fine-tune what you're looking for performance-wise for your preferred rig or experience. Speaking of fine-tuning, PC has the ability to mod games. Sure, some console games can mod, but to a very limited extent. PCs can mod any game to wild extents. The extra experiences and tweaks to gameplay, mechanics, graphics, designs, you name it, are expansive. Not to mention they are all free, and thanks to modern software, very easy to use. While we're on the topic of free, let's remember that there are no costs to playing online games on a PC besides an internet. Unlike consoles, where you have to pay a subscription to play online with your friends. Controlling a game, obviously, very important. And controlling a game on PC, there are so many more options than playing on console. All the peripherals that can come from various manufacturers, as opposed to having be compatible with the manufacturer or come directly from the same manufacturer as the console, that's not a problem on PC, as you just download that manufacturer software onto your PC and it runs perfectly. And let's not forget, PCs are the absolute kings of backwards compatibility thanks to emulation. Almost all old consoles can be emulated on PC, and there are a ridiculous amount of ROMs to play on them, and those are all free as well. Over the last year, I've been sold. I don't think I'm ever going to be getting rid of my consoles, but PC gaming is where I'm home to stay.
Nicely done. Nicely
Beautiful.
done.
Did you write this out beforehand?
I know, dude.
Maybe.
Are you reading off of a screen?
I mean, if he was doing a fantastic job. That was well read. If you wrote out a script, that was fantastic, my friend.
I may have timed a speech a few times.
Am I reconnected? Can you guys hear me?
You're
All
good.
right.
You're
Well,
good.
I can tell what I need to do next time because I was going off the fly, man, and I don't have that.
I mean, you did pretty good, Wes. I will.
Like
I'll allow you 10 seconds to gather your thoughts for
like the next Brandon Jones, man.
for your rebuttal.
Get that read.
For your rebuttal.
Amazing.
So I'll give you 10 seconds starting now to come up with your rebuttal. And then you can let me know when you're ready to go.
I don't need 10 seconds. Let's go.
Okay. All right. Your time is starting in 3, 2, 1, go.
My opponent liked to discuss about PC performance. Well, that's when you can get the games to run because there's so much maintenance that comes with PC gaming. You have to update drivers. If you want the most optimal conditions, you have to have updated graphics cards. That means you're pulling your rig apart. You're having to rip stuff out, put stuff in. Oh, I've got to expand this, drop this in, plug that in. Man, this is a time sink. You have to educate yourself. You've got to spend a lot of time, and let's not forget about money. If you can find a graphics card to update with, because Lord knows those are hard to find these days. You don't have to worry about that with your PlayStation 5. Sure, those are hard to come by too. But they're I think they're a little easier than these graphics cards these days. You want to talk about having to deal with storefronts? Man, you've got so many storefronts these days you've got to deal with. You've got your GOGs, you've got your Steams, you've got your Epics. Who knows where you're going to buy stuff from? You got to deal with all that stuff. You want to give your information to all these places all the time. They're just going to be selling your data left and right. Man, it's crazy. Let's talk about space. If you want a PC game, you got to have room for a desk. You see where I'm sitting right now? I'm in a damn closet, for crying out loud. I don't have room for a PC. I don't have room for anything. That's why I do my game it out on the couch where it's nice and cozy, and I got my
30
big
seconds.
TV. Kaden!
I just busted out of my assist trophy, rainbow light style. Okay, let's talk about creators' intent. If you want to go back and experience the classics on the Super NES and Nintendo 64, the perfect way to do it is to get those original consoles, pop in those carts, plug it into a CRTV. You compare what pixel art looks like on a CRTV compared to a modern day high definition monitor.
15 seconds.
It's not the same. You know, and plus when you're emulating for the backwards compatibility, you got to risk the FBI kicking in your door and carting you off to jail for fraud. You know, so at your risk, you know.
That's time. Well done, gentlemen. All right. That was fantastic. Oh man.
I feel like I'm turning into Dan Tack here with my arguments and delivery.
All right,
Where that
Ryan.
came from.
Are you ready for your rebuttal?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right.
Yeah.
3, 2, 1, begin.
Let's start with cost. You can't even find a PS5 unless you're paying way more than you would for a PC right now. You don't need a major graphics card to run most games. You really don't. You talk about space. Clearly, you haven't looked at any cases because there are cases smaller than the Series S, smaller than the PS4 to build a PC in. Will fit exactly where your console is. And just hook up like a controller and play like a PC. But then you get the broader versatility that a PC offers that a console doesn't. You talk about complexity. That just means it's yours. We're in games as a hobby, not as a passing, like we all get together and record podcasts about games. This is a serious hobby for all of us. Having more knowledge about the hardware that runs your serious hobby is a more interesting thing in my mind. And I, for one, haven't had any problems getting games to run. I play games from all eras of gaming, and it's as easy as download and double click. Nothing is very difficult about a PC. Nothing is overly expensive about PC. Honestly, no, it's really not. I see those faces you're making, Wes, and it's really not. the ability to start small with lower than a cost of a console and build up is very easy to do. It's super easy to swap out a graphics card. It's 2 plugs and a screw. It's super easy to swap out a PC or a CPU. It's very easy to upgrade this hardware. Whereas at the end of a console's lifespan, you just got to buy a new one. There's no way to. Caden!
3 words for you guys: mods, mods, mods. Being able to re-experience classics of the past with new content in them that's not available anywhere else, even so far as completely new games using the same engine. This past year, I played a completely new game using the Ocarina of
15
Time
seconds.
Majora's Mask engine. A brand new Zelda game and a new land with new characters, a new adventure, new dungeons, new bosses that fans made, just recapturing that nostalgia from my childhood. You can't get that on console. Mods.
Well done. Well done. All right. Both of our contestants have used their assist trophy. Now, it is time for their closing thoughts. Wes, are you ready?
I believe so.
2 minutes on the clock, starting in 3, 2, 1, go.
Look, my opponent has brought some very good points to his side of the debate today. There are obviously some advantages to PCs. But, look, I'm a busy dad. I work a job. I've got 2 kids. I've got a lot of obligations outside of gaming, and I just want to keep things simple. When I come home, I want to turn on my TV. I want to pick up my controller, and I want to play. I don't want to have to worry about updates. I don't want to have to worry about a lot of the stuff. I don't, we were talking about time and how easy it is to build these things or whatever. I don't have that kind of time. I'm sorry. I just have to keep things simple. I like to enjoy my games. I don't want to have to worry about any kind of updates. That all kind of happens automatically at this point with my console. So, generally speaking, I'm okay with paying for a new console, paying $500 every 7 to 8 years for something that's new. I like some of the cliche niche stuff that's coming out that they do, that Nintendo does, that Sony does with their hardware. That's obviously PC's got their own weird stuff with VR, but that's in the console space too. So for my money, I'm generally thinking like PC is fine. But my preference is just with the console. I like how easy it is. I like the affordability. I can spend more time investing money in games that way. I like the AAA exclusives that we talked about before. Eventually, those might make their way over to PC. They might not, but I know that I'm going to be able to find them on the console. That's just been my experience, and it's been what I've enjoyed my whole life, and something I'm looking forward to continuing to enjoy. Along with my kids who like to play games with me. So
on a console.
That's right. On my Switch and on my PlayStation.
And time. Well done, Wes. I forgot to say, if you guys would like to just cut short, you are more than welcome to cut short. You don't have to go the full 2 minutes if you don't want to. That is
all right.
An option as well. Ryan, 2 minutes on the clock, starting in 3, 2, 1, go.
Wes has also brought up many good points. Like I said, I have many consoles, and I will likely maintain console ownership throughout my life. But most of where I see myself spending my time in the future is with PC. The ability to mod games alone is mind-blowing. The extra content that is added to everything via mods is insane. Indie game experiences that are a lot easier to get your hands on first or only on PC. And that's where the game-breaking stuff happens in game development nowadays. A lot of AAA games are very similar to each other, where with indie games, you get a lot more variety to what you're playing. And the ability to just get more into the hardware. I'm a extreme hobbyist with hardware stuff. Getting to know everything about my gaming rig, whether that's my PS4 or my PC, is phenomenal. And it's not voiding my warranty when I want to take it apart and clean dust out of my fans. And the ability to play couch co-op is still there. And with my PC, I've got it hooked up to 3 screens, so we don't even have to split a screen to get couch co-op working wonderfully. Everyone gets their own screen and their own controller playing on my PC. Yeah, I think PC gaming is the way to go. There's going to be a higher cost to the buy-in, but you're saving that money in the long term, not having to pay a subscription to play online and being able to get cheaper games more regularly. Thank you for coming to my PC talk.
Okay.
Well done, sir. Well done.
Yes, good job.
Both of you guys absolutely
Incredible.
killed it.
Incredible.
For our next debate, you guys didn't have to use your last 30 seconds of your rebuttal to pull Caden in. He's an additional 30 seconds. So
Right.
Yeah, but you were like, that's time, so we weren't sure if we were supposed to keep going.
I was
with our own
saying
30 seconds
you
or
have
whatever,
30 you have 30 seconds left, so you could have used like your last like 2 seconds to be
They
like,
didn't need it. Or in the
That's fine.
future,
That's
people had
fine.
90 seconds for their rebuttal.
I was at the point where I needed Caden, so
Yeah,
Ryan.
he had me on the ropes.
Ryan, you had every opportunity to pull in the Xbox side of PC where you're like, you know what? You don't
Game
even
Pass,
need an
Xbox
Xbox
exclusives.
with PC.
I should have thought
I
of
got
that.
Game Pass, baby. I can play all of those Xbox exclusives. That side of the consoles isn't a problem for me. You could have just like pulled that out. But you know what? We will be having a thread open on our Discord for people to vote to see who won this debate.
Wait a minute, I thought you were the judge.
His vote just counts like
No,
twice or
my
something.
my vote will
This is going to hurt my feelings way more when I see like 27 people say what a bad job that I did.
I don't think it's people saying you did a bad job. I think
No, that's clearly the way that I'm going to take it. And so you're just going to destroy my
So you
Oh God, I'm gonna start crying now.
You'd much rather me say you did a trash job on air than
Yes.
a bunch of
Yes, I would, because I don't care what you think about me.
Oh,
That's why.
dang. Okay, well, I guess Ryan's the winner.
Dang. Well, yeah. Just a disclaimer for listeners, don't come at us because we all appreciate console and PC gaming.
Yeah,
and,
yeah, we do.
Absolutely. This was just for fun, and it was just meant
debate
to be
rules,
a fun
No
debate.
holds barred.
I don't have anything against PC. I just bought a new gaming laptop, so there you go.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, honestly,
Yeah, that's what I'm on right now.
if I'm gonna have to pick a winner, I mean, you both brought some really, really good things to the table, and I am very much a PlayStation guy. If it wasn't for everyone here at the Great Game Debate, I would not have a PlayStation, or at least I wouldn't have gotten one as soon as I did. So thank you guys. That being said, Ryan brought up some really good topics about PC, but Wes did talk about all of the gripes I do have with my PC. Even before recording, I had to restart my PC from a cold boot just because it was running slow. So, you know what? I think I'm going to have to go with consoles for this win. I think consoles are going to win. For that price point, that ease of use, the plug and play, and not having to worry about having to mess around and tinker with stuff. I know, Ryan, you said you haven't had to deal with that too much. You might have a better rig than me, and that might be why.
Well, shut up.
My mind is blown.
Caden, where is your vote going?
Yeah, I'm glad you said console because that makes me feel better that we're not dogpiling Wes because I'm choosing PC.
Okay.
So, yeah,
It's
Wes,
fine.
now
You
that
can dogpile me. That's fine. No worries.
I can't wait for you to start checking out like fan mods of like old classic games, Wes. Like, if you're like a Pokemon fan, there's literally dozens of new Pokemon games, like full fan-made games of like new areas, some cases new Pokemon, new mechanics, harder difficulty, like doing what Nintendo don't. And it's just a whole new world. Like seriously, I have to remember the name of it. I'll have to tell you later. But
you just gotta play it when it's like fresh off the presses because Nintendo's gonna shut it down in 3 days. So.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. It's too bad I can't go back to that Metroid 2 game that guy made. I would love to play that.
I'm sure
Metroid
it's
2 remake.
What was that?
Another Metroid 2
Yeah,
remake?
yeah.
Yeah,
I'm sure
AM2R.
it's
Yeah,
floating
that's
around
right.
somewhere.
Maybe. Yeah. No, to your point though about like playing stuff early, playing indie games early and stuff. Like I just finished playing Record of Lodoss War, D-Lit and Wonder Labyrinth, which is
On
has
your
no
laptop?
on my laptop. Yeah, and that game
Nice.
has no inkling of a release date for console at this point.
Wow.
So
Yeah,
I
that
was
game's sick.
super happy to be like, oh yeah, I can play this Metroidvania that I've been eyeing for a while. After Caden was on the podcast talking about it, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get in there and play that
Yep.
game.
That's cool.
And Bloodborne
Oh,
definitely stunk because I adore that game.
Yeah.
I guess
No.
I have to point out you can technically play Bloodborne on PC via PS Now. So,
Oh, you
know.
can?
Yeah.
But you
Yeah.
have to
And I
stream
think it
it to
runs
your
at 60
PC,
frames per
right?
second. Yeah.
Ugh. No thanks. I got good internet, but not that good. Maybe
Yeah.
maybe the Pearson brothers can do it because
Mm,
Zach's got like gigabit internet and it blows my mind.
wow. Yeah. He's like downloading games in the middle of a podcast recording, you know?
No, like I was talking to that dude last week before he downloaded we were talking about Dragon's Dogma a bunch, and here's me pulling it back. I was like, dude, you gotta play it, you gotta play it, you gotta try it. And he's like, okay, it's on sale, I'll pick it up. And he's like, oh, it's like 30 gigs. And he's like, guess how long it's gonna take? And I was like, I don't know, like 45 minutes, an hour. And I was like, that's pretty fast for 30, 40 gigs.
Dang.
And 15 minutes went by. He's like, okay, I'm gonna start it up now. I was like, what?
Thank God.
Must be nice.
Right?
Cool. Well, thanks again, everyone. You all did a fantastic job. And I think now's probably a good time to break, and then we'll be back for what you've been playing. All right, we're back from our break, and we're getting into the what we've been playing section. So as our guest, I'll give Ryan the honor of going first. What you been playing, dude?
All right. So I've got a lot of things to bring to the table. Let's see who's most excited to talk about something. I've got Okami, Pokemon Emerald, Dead Space 2, Blue
ooh.
Dragon, Splinter Cell,
Oh.
Blacklist.
Wow.
So many
you
options.
gotta give me a little bit of info on Blue Dragon because I've never played it. Always been super interested, just never had an
It's
Xbox to play it.
Turn-based JRPG with a really great class system, job system, because everyone basically has, as you level up, everyone can get access to basically every class, and you just like swap back and forth between classes. Any skill you unlock in one class can be equipped on the other class that you want to use for the main.
Okay.
So like all of my characters, I leveled up a little bit into black magic so that they can regenerate MP while they walk. So I just never have to worry about healing ever in that game.
Love it. What out of those games, I mean, which one's your favorite so far? Which is the one that you're constantly thinking about getting home and playing?
Well, it might be Splinter Cell if I hadn't played it before, because that's a revisit for me. Honestly, Okami right now. Yeah. That's what we're covering for the current Spelunkers game. We're actually in the final stretch right now. We just did our podcast on everything up to Dragon Palace, so now it's through to the end of the game. I have been thoroughly enjoying my time with that game. There are a few nitpicks here or there, you know,
as you should.
Yeah. You can tell it's a game that's not brand new, but I mean, visually at least, especially with the HD coat of paint it's gotten in the remasters more recently, that thing looks like it could have come out this year. No problem.
Wow. Beautiful.
It's a grand old time. The drawing is best done on the Switch touchscreen, I would say.
Yeah, for sure. Makes sense to do it there.
Yeah, the joystick feels fine, but it's a ton of fun. The characters are great. The animation, the small animations the characters have are really what sell me on that game. Every time you meet a new god and get a new brush power, the little 5-10 second animation, you know, rabbit making mochi, the pounding rice.
Oh, yeah.
Or you meet a water snake who's stuck in a little jar and he comes down from the stars, but then he can't pop the cork out of the jar and just like goes all defeated for a second. And then I love it. It's got so much character.
Yeah, there's a lot of charm in that game. And part of the thing that I love about it so much is the variety of the characters and the storyline. I mean, you just keep meeting more and more crazy characters. You go to so many like really interesting places in the game, and it always kind of kept me on my toes as I was playing through it. Like, what's next? I really don't know what to expect.
It's like an epic. Like the game just
Yeah.
it goes on, and each area is just so unique and different. It's really amazing.
Yeah, especially with that boss fight that happens about a third of the way in that I did not foresee happening that early in the game.
Mhm.
Everything that like as soon as that happened, I'm like, all right, so what's going to happen for the next 20 hours of this experience?
Are you talking about okay, Okami? If you haven't played Okami spoilers right here. Are you talking about the Orochi boss fight?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Yeah,
because I fully expected that to be the final boss of the game.
Yeah, they build him up to be like the big bad of the game, and then you end up fighting him really pretty early.
Yeah, I love in that fight where like what's the name of the Moonlight Swordsman guy, and he thinks he's this like epic hero, and he doesn't even have like the real sword, and like you're like making him think he's like killing the enemies by like using your powers to like slash their heads off. You know, it's so hilarious.
Yeah, Susano.
Susan, yeah. What's which of the like weapon types is your favorite so far?
Oh, the prayer beads. I have been loving the prayer beads. Yeah, absolutely. And I had the deflector on to use as the shield sub weapon, but I've since switched to using a glaive, so you get like that dash forward attack, which is great for closing the distance if you just need to, because the whip has a pretty good range on it, especially considering a lot of the combats in an arena of some sort. You know, arena the fights. So like really you don't have to do a lot of running around to try and chase your enemies down when you got the whip set up.
Yeah, that's kind of the one thing that I guess if I had to nitpick the combat is the fact that you do kind of like spawn into an arena, or there's like you get stuck in kind of like a demonic aura like field around you until you like exorcise the demon or whatever and kill them. And it just kind of, I wish that you could kind of fight them within the environments themselves rather than having to kind of like go in these little basically bubbles.
Yeah.
See, I kind of like the arena, like putting the fight into an arena as opposed to being more broad and open. I think it helps give a separation between combat and exploration, which I enjoy because it almost feels a little bit more like a game where random battles are there, but it's set up in a way that random battles are your choosing, not just anytime you're walking around.
Okay, so as someone who's never played this game, and I've heard from countless people that I should, and I just haven't, and I'm sorry, Wes.
Oh yeah, dude. As a Zelda stan, you need to play Okami.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I'm sorry I haven't played this game. I hear a lot that this game feels and plays a lot like Zelda. Is it like the combat? Is it like Zelda's combat, or is it closer to something like God of War or Bayonetta or like a Platinum game? Because it sounds like it kind of plays like that. Or
there's definitely more meat on the combat system than a traditional Zelda game. I think the Zelda elements are more of like the world design and the dungeon design.
Yeah, it's more the exploration in the way that it's a Zelda. They have Zelda style dungeons that you go into. So the puzzles and the dungeons and the boss fights, those are very Zelda-y. The combat itself is a little more, well, it's pretty hack and slash, honestly.
Yeah.
Except for the paintbrush
So
stuff.
more in kin to like Darksiders 1, would you say?
I would even say that your Bayonetta pick is great because a lot of the development team that went on to make stuff like Bayonetta worked on Okami.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, it's Hideki Kamiya did both of those games.
All right, cool. Yeah, I'll have to check those out because I have been wanting to check out Okami, but
I'll warn you, the first like hour and a half is a slow grind. Takes a little bit to really get to the meat of Okami, but once you're going, it's a dang fun time.
Cool.
And that's like nothing compared to like the 4 hours to get started in Skyward Sword. Am I right? Oh,
or Twilight Princess.
Yeah.
If you wanna play a game where you play as a wolf, I would really recommend Okami.
You know what? At least when they did the HD versions of Twilight Princess, they reduced how many of those stupid ass bugs you had to kill. Because I love that game to pieces. Those parts sucked so bad.
Cool boss fight though.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So-
Go ahead, Liz.
I was just curious. I love Okami. I could talk about it forever. But I think people should really check out the Spelunkers deep dive into Okami because you guys have a lot to say about the game there. What I wanted to ask you though, because you mentioned earlier, I think that Resident Evil 7 was kind of like your intro foray to most horror games and stuff. So I'm interested. Now you're playing Dead Space 2.
Mhm.
How's that experience been for you? Because I love Dead Space.
Yeah.
Dead Space 2.
Legendary, dude.
I would say I'm liking Dead Space and Dead Space 2 a lot more than I liked Resident Evil. It's just slightly more to the action side and slightly away from the horror.
Mhm.
It could be that I played RE7 in VR, which was a terrible decision.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Okay. Yeah, that's a completely
That's
different
pretty
experience.
Yeah,
from
but
playing it
I
regularly.
like the aesthetic. I like the space aesthetic. I like the weapons better. The lore, the general world building and lore in Dead Space, I find more interesting than Resident Evil. It's a little less.
It is really
convoluted.
cool. It is really
Yeah.
cool. You're saying it's not convoluted?
Compared to Resident Evil.
That's kind of a good point. Yeah.
I guess. I mean, for the most part, Resident Evil hits the nail on the head pretty frequently. But
I guess Resident Evil's less convoluted, more just stupid. You know?
fair.
Yeah.
Maybe
There's a
that's
lot
why I
less,
like it so much, is because my smooth brain can understand what's going on in Resident Evil.
There's a lot less zaniness in Dead
Yeah,
Space. I mean, it's a pretty straight on serious, horror story.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
Didn't they just, or I don't know if it's actually been officially announced, but I guess there's rumors that some developers doing like a remake of the first Dead Space, right?
Yeah, I thought
So-
that did officially get announced.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's really exciting.
it seems like, I mean, there was pretty much everybody was stating that it was happening. I don't know
Yeah.
that I ever actually saw
Just
EA
like the
come out
Switch
and
Pro.
state that it was happening, but I didn't see them refute that it was happening either. So
Right.
Yeah, okay. No, EA hasn't said specifically, but something's going on at EA Motive, and there's a lot of reports claiming it's a Dead Space revival.
Yeah. What's happened with the Switch Pros? Maybe not trust rumors ever again. So.
there's an EA event happening later this month, correct? Like
Oh,
Yeah,
on
yeah,
July
On the
20th or something like that.
29th,
Now I have to pay attention.
I believe.
That would be the perfect time to announce it.
That would
Pretty
be a
exciting.
perfect time to announce Titanfall 3.
Yeah, maybe.
I need it in my life.
That would be great.
I need it in my life.
I do have to ask Ryan, favorite weapon so far in Dead Space, because there's so many legendary weapons in
Oh, God,
Dead
so
Space
good.
1 and 2.
I'm pretty basic. I just love that plasma cutter.
Plasma cutter.
Mhm,
You can
yeah.
do the whole first game with just the plasma cutter. It's kind of overpowered. They toned
I
it down.
basically did.
Yeah. So fun surgically dismembering mutants.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
what is it? The spike launcher, like the railgun?
Yeah.
Dude, that thing.
Into the wall that explodes.
I love just like sticking the dudes to the wall and then they're still kind
Yeah,
of
they just go
alive.
flying back.
Oh,
Yeah. Pretty
Oh, and
slick.
like
so good.
combo the plasma cutter with the telekinesis, where you cut off one of their scythe arms and then you pick it up with telekinesis and impel into the wall with that.
Oh, so
Just
good.
Yeah.
Oh, now I want to play Dead Space 2 again.
Yeah, I didn't utilize telekinesis a lot in 1, but in 2 it's
It's broken. Yeah.
they present it to you a lot more upfront in 2. Like they give you not a weapon but enemies, and they give you
Mhm.
telekinesis right off the bat and early in that game. So they're very much telegraphing you hey, use this as a weapon as part of your arsenal. You don't it's more than just the guns that you have.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, cool. Any other games you want to give a shout out to? Or you guys have any other questions for Ryan's gaming before we move on?
Nah, I'm good.
Cool. And Ryan, did you have another game you wanted to shout out?
Can I shout out something?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
All right.
Speed under.
Spicy takes here.
Do not play Dungeons and Dragons Dark Alliance.
Oh,
do
yeah,
it.
it does not hold up.
Yeah,
I've played
heard that that's
recently.
pretty rough. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I've heard that it's actually not bad. I heard
I tried 2 hours of it, deleted it immediately. The menus lagged. The menus
Oh.
lagged.
What
Yeah.
were you playing it on?
PC, my very new
Microwave.
PC.
I will say shout out to Justin's Gaming Corner because he seemed to absolutely love that game and was just posting left and right on Twitter about it, how much he loved it. So,
If you're having a
take it with
good
grain of
time, keep
salt.
playing it, but
Yeah,
mm.
yeah.
Don't recommend.
It seems like a game that had like some really solid, fun ideas. The combat, and I saw a gameplay early on. Like I was in GameStop, and they were showing gameplay on the screen. I'm like, oh, what is that? That looks fun. Like, oh, that's the new Dark Alliance game. Oh, really? Yeah, I'm gonna keep my eye on that. But then it just seems like it's just kind of plagued with bugs and a lot of other stuff that just takes the experience down with it.
I'll keep my eye on it. Maybe they'll update it and then it runs smooth. So that'll be cool.
Possibility. And it's on Game Pass. I will say the systems are really good, like the leveling up systems, all the stuff that they brought in from D&D and put in the game, that works really well. But like the AI is not very smart, feels pretty brain dead. Really bad input lag and menu lag.
So it was just optimized poorly.
Yeah, if they optimize it better, there's a chance. But as it stands, I am not keeping it on my hard drive. I've got other gigabytes to be used.
I feel like that's
Fair enough.
pretty easy to fix in a patch. So at least it's not like big like Cyberpunk 2077 issues.
Yeah. So if you had a choice between Cyberpunk and Dark Alliance, maybe play Dark Alliance.
No, I would still play Cyberpunk.
Wow, okay.
I'm really looking forward to playing Cyberpunk. I've been putting it off. I keep thinking like, okay, November's coming. Like the 1 year anniversary. That's the time. I'm gonna give them a year to get this thing fixed up.
They recently said the game is in an acceptable state. So
yeah, well, that was for the PS4.
the PS4 version. Yeah, I need to look up how that game.
Oh God.
Well, yeah, let's not get on a tangent dunking Cyberpunk. Let me just toss it over to you, Jonah. What you been playing, dude?
Well, in the last episode, our good friend here in the bottom left corner, Wes Bates, decided to send me a magical Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart for the PS5. You probably did not hear anything I just said because I blocked my face with the case.
Oh, yeah, we got you.
Anyway, I played Ratchet and Clank 2016, and I played it for like an hour and a half, and I was like, digging it. I did not dig it.
All right.
I started playing this game. This game's hella fun.
All right.
This game is awesome, dude. I've put maybe 5 hours in. I completed the first world all the way, which was super cool. Just running around. It's cool neon city. Yeah, see it in demos and stuff. It's not a spoiler. It's not a spoiler, I swear. Sorry. Took that too far. I'm sorry. I'll calm down.
What's your history with this series? Was the 2016 remake your first foray into Ratchet and Clank?
Yeah. So I had a buddy in high school who really, really loved the games. He's like, "Oh, they're awesome. They're awesome. It's my favorite like platformer shooter game." And I was like, "Okay." And I watched him play a little bit of it, and I had seen gameplay here and there every once in a while. I never really got into it, mainly because the PS4 was my first like PlayStation console. So
okay.
I picked up the 2016 version because we got it for PlayStation Plus or whatever, and I tried playing it with my daughter, and she's like, "Oh, this is cute, fun," and I was like, "This does not play well. I don't like the way this plays." The writing's fun, like having Captain Cord like narrate in the background is funny and silly, and them like breaking the fourth wall with this being the game of about the movie of the game.
Oh yeah, I forgot there was like a movie that came out around the same time, and
that stuff was funny. The writing was pretty funny, but like I was just not digging the gameplay. It just felt too stiff. Whereas this, you got like an actual dodge, and then I just got to this planet where you get rocket boots and you're just skating along, and it's like, dude, this is so fun. It's so fun. You're just going super fast and flying around and stuff on these rocket boots, and the banter between the characters is really fun and whatnot. Their writing.
How'd you like the bug writing?
The bug riding's super
Bug
cool.
riding.
Yeah. It's
Bug riding.
yeah, you get to, in like the second planet, you get to ride like these big bugs, and
They're like
there's
water skipper type things that go really fast. Like
Nice.
it's basically like getting on a jet ski and
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, and
cruising around.
there's
Yeah.
like a boss fight that you have to do where you're like riding around the boss, and it's like super epic. This giant thing's just flying over you, and you're trying to avoid it. It's really cool. But
All
yeah,
right, and it's funny how prevalent talk of favorite weapons is in this episode. But I have to ask, given it's Ratchet and Clank, which is your favorite weapon so far?
what is it? I think it's it Wes, it's like a ricochet gun where
Yeah, I think yeah. I that was the one weapon that it didn't actually click with me very well.
it's
I couldn't
So
get
for everyone.
I couldn't get the timing down because you have to keep repeat. You
Oh.
shoot this ball out and it kind of like floats in the air,
Yeah.
and then you click the button and it kind of like pings off of them, and then you hit it again and it'll keep on
Oh.
boom, boom,
That
and it'll
sounds
like
cool.
bounce
Yeah.
around. But there's a rhythm to it, and
Yeah.
me having no rhythm, I was really crappy at it, so I
Sure,
didn't
sure.
tend to use
it's really
it. So.
cool though, because it looks like fireworks are going off, and my smooth
Yeah.
brain's like, oh, pretty color.
That's cool. Yeah.
But it's
I wish we
cool.
could get a collection of the PS2 games because man, I think Ratchet and Clank 3 and Deadlocked were like some of the best games on PS2. I played those games so much. Good stuff.
Maybe
Yeah, really
maybe
glad to
Sony will
see.
have Blue Point make a bunch of remakes for
Dude,
those.
that'd be sick. To me, they never actually ironed out whether or not Blue Point is now an official Sony studio, right? It was like they
No,
accidentally
it was
put
on
up like
it was on a tweet that went up and then got
Yeah,
taken down like
right.
immediately, and that tweet never went back up again.
Right.
So
But they probably are. So
probably
who
this
knows?
week. It'll probably happen this week.
Yeah, for sure. Any other games you want to play that you want to talk about, Jonah?
No, I do want to bring up the state of play that came up
Sure.
because I know there's a lot of people who are like, oh, it was really boring and whatever, and I'm not like a big Yakuza fan, but that oh god, what is that spin-off Yakuza game? What is it?
Judgment.
Yeah, Lost Judgment. When they showed that, I thought it was a live action like movie, and like I hear a lot of people say like, oh, I saw this game and I thought it was a live action. This legit looks like they had a camera on an old man, and
I haven't watched it yet.
oh dude, it blew my mind because I was like, okay, who's this old guy that they brought in to talk? And I was like, what is he talking about? And then I saw the main character for Lost Judgment, and I was like, oh, this is a game. Whoa.
It does look very good. Yeah, I haven't played the first one, but Lost Judgment looks like a lot of fun.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I'm not one to be like, oh, graphics, you're so good, they're fantastic, but like that game, like it blew my mind. I legit thought it was just a live action game, and
Yeah,
yeah,
finally getting there.
yeah.
Yeah, I think as far as cinematics and like faces in games, like almost nobody does it better than the studio that does Yakuza and Judgment, RGG.
It's
They're-
fantastic.
They're amazing. I haven't finished Judgment yet. I need to go back to it, but yeah, I had fun with that game. If you like the old style beat 'em up Yakuza games, then Judgment's where it's at because they're sticking with the turn-based
so interesting.
gameplay going forward in the quote unquote main series
Right.
now
Right.
on.
Another thing about this game, if you guys are picking it up, make sure to go into your settings because
For the
good-
listeners, he's talking about Ratchet and Clank.
Oh yeah, thanks. Sorry. Good old smooth brain over here. If you can't tell, if you don't go into your settings on your PlayStation 5 when you're playing games, they have options now like you would have on a PC to change the fidelity and whatnot. So I was playing with ray tracing. I was like, wow, this game looks good, but it's kind of running a little weird. It's because it starts you off on 30 frames with ray tracing, and you can put it on like a performance mode where it's running at 60 with ray tracing, and boy oh boy does that look way better. So
I
check your
disagree
options. Really?
personally. I played it 30 with ray tracing all the way because I wanted it to look like I mean, we talk a lot about, oh, this looks like an animated film and whatever. When I go to the theater, you don't see an animated film in 60 frames. So I wanted it. I kind of wanted that more cinematic experience. So I kept it at 30. I never had a problem. I didn't think it looked weird. It looks great running at 60 if you want it to feel more video gamey. I kind of wanted it a little bit more cinematic, so I kept it at 30. So if you want that smooth experience, you can have it with the 60 and ray tracing. I thought it ran great at 30. It looked great. That's the way I played the game.
And then if you have a TV like I do that can run games in 120 hertz, there's a mode to turn that on too. And that helps smooth out your frame rate a little bit more too. And I'm not trying to brag because I know it's hard to find those TVs right now.
Oh, you know, when that PS5 Pro comes out, we'll be getting that 120 frames per second ray tracing. So can't wait for that.
Something you can already get with a PC.
Yeah, that's right. $3,000.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, yeah. What about you, Wes? What are you playing, dude?
So I just wrapped up my first playthrough of Doki Doki Literature Club.
Nice.
Which, let me tell you, that was an experience.
Oh,
maybe one I preferred I didn't have.
Oh.
No, that game's just it's just super dark. It gets really
What was the
dark.
playtime on that?
I mean, if you look it up on how long to play, I think it's generally like 6 hours.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it took me quite 6 hours because I was scrolling pretty quickly through a lot of the dialogue. Not because I didn't want to read it, but spoilers, there's a little bit of repeat that happens.
Gotcha.
So some of the stuff I had seen before, and so I didn't really need to read it quite as thoroughly.
Sure.
But yeah, it's not a super long game. You can burn through it. I was playing on Switch. I got the Plus version that just came out. It was really nice actually with the touchscreen on the Switch because instead of having to just push the button, I could just tap the screen, tap to move the dialogue forward. It's a straight, for those that don't know, it's a straight up visual novel. There are some choices that you can make as you go through the story where you can pick different things that may take the story in slightly different directions with the different characters. But generally speaking, it's pretty strict visual novel, but it definitely throws you a few curves along the way.
Oh yeah, that game goes to some dark places. I'm curious playing on console because I've watched this be played on PC and played it on PC where it came out first. There's a lot of file manipulation stuff to be done towards the back half of that game. How does that get handled on console?
When you start the game, it brings up kind of like a virtual desktop.
Okay.
And so you actually have to choose to load into the game.
Okay.
And then you can exit back out to that virtual desktop pretty much any time.
Okay.
Gotcha.
And so it does still maintain that kind of file manipulation stuff.
Right.
You don't really think about it when you start the game and it loads you in, but it's a piece of the experience.
For sure.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I don't know if I've ever seen another game that like the community has kept a tighter lid on the twist than Doki Doki. Like I still haven't played it and don't actually know like what the twist is. And like every time I see anyone talking about it, like they're all just like, like what's the word? Like, weak, So that's
cool. and for good reason because it's pretty good.
I only know what the twist is just by watching like Game Grumps and like some highlights of them playing that game, and like their reactions to what happens is hilarious. Yeah,
that's who I watch play it on YouTube as well. Nice. I think it's super important. Like the community does a good job keeping that twist under wraps because it will blow your mind. It comes so far out of left field if you don't know that it's coming that you will. If you're playing on the Switch, I would have set my Switch down and been like, what the just happened?
Yeah, and I apologize to anybody listening to this if I may have inadvertently spoiled anything just by saying that that it does have dark tendencies. Because
That's pretty big.
I kind of knew that going in, like from just what I've heard, around the internet. I didn't know anything specific, but I was just kind of waiting for things to happen, as I was going in. So
Sure.
I don't know that it was necessarily. It was definitely that it hit me, but I was not probably as affected as I would be if I had known absolutely nothing about the game at all. So.
For sure.
But yeah, it was worth playing. I'm glad I experienced it. I mean, that game got a lot of press when it released, and I'm glad that it's available now on consoles. So if you haven't tried it out, check it out. The Plus version does come with some side story content. It's not directly linked to the main story, but you can go and talk to some of the other characters, kind of like learn a little bit more about their backstories and their backgrounds. I haven't done any of that stuff yet. I might go back to it and check it out. I don't think it's real long. But yeah, it's there. If you want to check it out.
Cool beans.
And the
Very
game
cool.
was like $15, so it's not a, real expensive.
Or
to
free
jump
on
into it.
PC.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Very nice. Well, anything else you've been playing that you want to talk about?
Yeah, just one more game. I'm playing a little game called Scarlet Nexus.
Nice. I've been waiting to hear some impressions about this one.
Yeah, so I actually I've kind of an interesting story about Scarlet Nexus because in a lot of the promo material they show you playing as the sword wielder Yuito. And
Mhm.
when he attacks, he's got like almost looks like a beam saber type of weapon. I kind of decided to go the other route when I started the game because there's two characters that you can pick from at the beginning of the game.
Nice.
There's Kasane and Yuito, the sword guy. Kasane uses more what they say is like long range or mid range attacks. She uses kind of daggers. All the characters in this game have psychic powers. It's almost kind of like got an X-Men style feel.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So all the characters have different psychic abilities. One character's got like pyrokinesis, another character's like electrokinesis. Your character generally has like telekinesis. Some people have telepathy and other things. So Kasane can use these daggers, and she kind of like controls them in the air and kind of whips them out and like, moves them around. I really didn't like the way that she felt playing. Like this is kind of billed as almost as a stylish action game. It's an RPG at its base, but it's an action RPG. And when I play these games, I want that kind of like Nier Automata type of experience where the characters are very reactionary and the controls are really tight and fluid.
Right.
And I just wasn't getting that playing with Kasane. I played about 3 hours or so with her character, and I was pretty bummed out because I'm like, this is not the experience that I was really hoping to have with this game.
Sure.
So last night I was talking with my friend Tristan, Ninja Guru, and he's been loving the game, but he's been playing as Yuito.
Right.
So I'm like, man, I really want to like this game. There's a lot of things about it that I like. The aesthetics are amazing. Probably the best looking anime aesthetics in any video game I've ever seen.
Wow.
Like if I just watched an anime in that style, normally I don't like CG anime, but if they did an anime in that style, it's so kind of clean and fluid.
Isn't there an
I
anime
wouldn't care.
associated with the show?
They
Like,
are. There's a side anime. They're basically just making a sideshow. I think that goes probably through most of the same story beats as in the game. So you can watch that on Funimation, I believe, if you're interested. Anyway, but it looks really good. I like the music. It's got kind of like a techno punk almost. It definitely has undertones of Persona in it as well. There's a lot of relationship stuff. Like you have a base in the game you can go back to, and all your your characters and party members hang out in, and you can give them presents and increase your relationship level, and that'll change their support for your attacks when they support you in battle and stuff like that. So it's got a lot of neat stuff going on for it.
Does the base double as a high school? Are all the characters high schoolers?
No, it's kind of like this this character's sort of, I don't know if there's any base upgrade, but you get in there and it's kind of like a bunker, but it's like the
Okay,
nicest it's like the nicest bunker you've ever been in.
Okay.
It's almost like you walk in, all the characters are like, "Whoa, so this is where the rich people go, huh?" Got like fireplace, big plasma screen TV, and all this other stuff.
Nice.
So they're all just like hanging out at like this resort, bunker in between. They call it their quote unquote secret base, in between missions. And but anyway, sorry, I started up last night as Yuito, and I'm glad
Mhm.
to say that's the experience I was looking for, because he feels like just way better, just way snappier. The lock on feels a lot better. The attacks just feel more fluid, and I'm just having a lot better time. I basically played the entirety of what I played with Kasane, again with Yuito. There's differences in their story. You go to different places, and you're helping out different people, but a lot of the beats are kind of the same, at least in the first couple hours. But I enjoyed it way more.
That's
Right.
cool.
Do you think I know sometimes you see stuff like this with like V in like DMC5 where he's just kind of like a nice like onboard for players who may not be as familiar or skilled at like these Twitch like fast-paced combat games, because he just kind of hangs back and your devils attack enemies for you. Do you think like the other character is more like that, where it'd be easier for a player who's unfamiliar with like fast-paced combat, or would it still just not? Would you still recommend they just play the other character?
Yeah, it's a good question. I don't know that the other character is necessarily harder to play.
Mhm.
Then she just doesn't feel as
Yeah,
good to play, in my opinion. Her attacks don't feel like they hit as hard. Like you
sure.
don't feel that kind of. So I'm playing on
Visceral
the
impact.
exactly. I'm playing on PS5 with the
Mhm.
DualSense, and I just don't feel it when I
Yeah,
hit these monsters. The monster designs in this game are amazing. They're like some of the most cool and
very
interesting
nice.
looking
Yeah,
monsters I've seen. Again, fairly reminiscent of something you would find probably in a Persona game.
sure.
Um, but they're pretty out there.
I can
And
kind of understand what you're saying, because like you're saying her attacks are really slow, but she's got light daggers, and you probably want those to be like flying through enemies really fast and like zipping around all over the place. But
yeah, you can't really like cancel out of your attacks and stuff like I really feel like you
Mm.
should be able to.
Mhm.
Um, and I just feel like, yeah, you get that more kind of visceral combat with Yuito over Kasane,
But
and
Yuto
it
can
just
cancel out
feels.
of his combat animations, but she can't. Is that what you're saying, or neither of them can do it?
Yeah, Yuito's got, so she's got this one move where you press triangle and she uses she like dashes away from the
Yeah.
enemy, but like throws her daggers out while she does it. And I can't figure out how to like consistently get that to trigger during a combo.
Right.
And instead, Yuito does basically like a spin slash when you press that, and you can use it anytime in a combo, no problem.
Gotcha.
So I'm like, am
Yeah.
I just like, is my timing bad? Am I not doing this accurately? Can you only use it after like 2 hits in a combo? I don't know. I don't get it. It's not, in my opinion, it's like, if I hit the button, she should do the move.
Sure. Sure. Yeah.
And it's not like, it doesn't feel like a game that's like set up for really teaching you those complex combos, at least out the door. It's like, why give this to me and not let me use it the way that I want to use it if you're not going to teach me how to do the combos properly?
Yeah. Do you have any idea if there's any like story content that's locked out until you beat the game with both characters? Because I hate when games do that. It's
Yeah,
just like, you make me
they're
replay the whole game.
they're
I know
two
that
they're
her
two halves of a story, so you won't get the full story unless you play as both halves.
Okay. Well, I'm thinking
yeah,
of
seems
PS3
like,
Folklore, where you can't even get the ending until you play through the whole game with
no,
both
you
characters.
definitely get an ending.
Okay,
Like
cool,
if you
cool.
play the first half, my understanding is you can walk away from the game satisfied if you just
Mhm.
play it with Yuito, but Kasane does have kind of the other half of it.
Yeah.
It is a separate campaign, even though, like I said, it kind of starts off in a similar way and you go to a lot of the similar places. I think the first boss I fought was the same boss that I fought in both campaigns, but I fought them in different locations.
Yeah, sure.
So-
You played what was it called? That Platinum Games Switch game where you're like anime cops with demon sidekicks.
Yeah,
Astral
your
Chain?
Astral
Yeah.
Astral Chain.
How's the
actually-
combat?
I
feel
haven't
to you compared?
I haven't played. I've only played about an hour of Astral Chain.
Oh, okay. Well, never mind.
I need to go back to it. It's been on my list. I'm like, I keep
Yeah.
thinking like, is now the time to go back to Astral Chain? And it probably
Yeah.
is.
Ryan, have you played Astral Chain?
I haven't played Astral Chain. I haven't played Scarlet Nexus either, but both Tom and Tyler from the Spelunkers are, and they are adoring it. They've had nothing but good
Nice.
things to say about that game. It's making me
All
very
right.
interested.
Yeah, I'll have to put it on my list for sure. Well, very cool. For myself, we were speaking about mods in the debate earlier for PC. So, what I've mostly been playing recently is this mod for Dark Souls 3 called Cinders, which apparently came out a while ago, but the guy who's making the mod has been consistently updating it over like the course of a couple years, and it's in their like 2.0 version now. And that's like kind of the thing you usually don't see with a lot of mods is they get started and then they never get finished. But it's amazing. It's like playing the game for like the first time again. And just a few highlights of like some of the things that they change about it. First of all, they added a ton of new starting classes, and they now have a starting class that has like gear appropriate for each of the different schools of magic. I think the original game, it was just like a pyromancer, a sorcerer, and a cleric, but now there's like a class for hexes, and there's like a class that's like starts with one of the items that lets you cast all the different kinds of spells with the same catalyst instead of needing a bunch of different ones. And you guys are familiar in the Souls games where there's always like a class that's like the deprived or whatever that starts
Yeah.
at like level 0, but
Uh,
it still has like 10 in like all its base stats. Well, there's now a new one called Waste of Flesh, and it's like the same thing except for it starts with 0 in all of its stats.
oh, geez.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
I didn't know they
but,
made a class about me.
Smooth brained waste of flesh. Garden of
Does it-
failures.
Does it look like a monkey?
You can make it look like a monkey, I guess.
That's awesome.
But the two other major things that they added to the game is one is they added non-linearity to the game. So they added a bunch of shortcuts now from early areas to other areas later in the game. Because that was kind of like one of my major gripes with Dark Souls 3. I know not everybody wants a non-linear experience, but it just feels like it takes forever on replays of that game to get your class going because it's so linear, and you just have to put in the hours to get to the later game areas to get the items you need for your class. But you can't get to anywhere from the get-go, but you can skip ahead to a lot of areas really quickly. But on top of that, they have new burial gifts, which are like the items you start out with, which are items that allow you to teleport to other later game areas. So even if the normal new non-linear paths to get to later game areas don't get you to where you want to go to like kill the boss that you want to like get the item for your build or whatever, you can like start with a specific item that lets you warp to that area so you can really get your build going.
Are you just warping around to get to these areas?
Yeah, so unfortunately the shortcuts are essentially warps. It's like there's
Okay.
like doors or items that you can interact with now that just teleport you to a different area.
Okay, that's what I was wondering. Because
Yeah.
I'm like, how's that going to work? Because there's
Yeah.
definitely instances in that game where you're like, you come back down an elevator and you're like, oh, I'm back here again. Okay,
Right,
but I'm like,
exactly.
how is this going to work? Because that's nowhere near this like geographically.
Yeah, it would be pretty cool if they could add all that content. But one other major addition in the mod is they added this new type of magic called summoning, and it's really wacky. Like, you get an item that allows you to summon an enemy that's like native to the area you're in to fight for you. So it's kind of like an easy mode almost. Like if you just want to experience the game, you can just summon the enemy that kills everything for you. And then there's an NPC that allows you to buy items that upgrade your summon to like give it more HP or do more damage and all that kind of stuff. And so you can like spend all your souls instead of leveling yourself up to like level your summon up, which is pretty cool.
That's cool.
And it doesn't count as like one of your summoned phantoms, so you can still summon like NPC phantoms to help you in a boss fight and then summon your summoned NPC. But so that's like a cool new way to play the game if you've like wanted to experience Dark Souls and it seems too hard.
I got a
Do
question
the
for you.
NPCs have proper FromSoft cackling?
Oh well, they're actually just the NPCs you summon with the summoning are like the enemies in the area, like the mobs.
No, I mean you said there was
So-
like a shopkeep or something you could.
Oh yeah,
talk
so
to
all the new NPCs unfortunately don't have any voice acting. So
Boo.
yeah, it's like
I need to just like you just walk up to the guy and he just goes.
Yeah, that's all you need, one voice line.
Yeah.
Does this mod bring new story content, or is it just like addition, like just a like? I
So
don't
it's
know.
not like major story content, but there's new like bosses that they add to areas in the game that didn't have bosses before, and there's more NPC Black Phantoms that invade you with like interesting gear loadouts to fight against. And then like an example of like the story is there's this character you run into in the settlement, the undead settlement, who he basically like looks like a Bloodborne character. Like he's dressed in like, you know, a trench coat and like a top hat. And he essentially sells you weapons from Bloodborne that have been modded into the game. And
Nice.
yeah, so he has a couple of quests for you where he's missing a couple of key items and he asks you to go find them for him in other areas of the game where they're hidden. And if you do that and bring them back to him, it unlocks like new gear that he'll sell you. Like I just got one and now he sells like the arcane items to me from Bloodborne, like the the numbing mist sprayer and stuff like that. So, you know, it's like really, really minor story stuff.
Do they
Not like
do the weapons? Do they act like trick weapons? Can you like?
yeah, so that's
you know,
another
like-
downside to it being a Dark Souls 3 mod. The trick weapons don't transform, so
So
that's kind
this
of a bummer.
this
but-
character, is he also like sitting by himself in the back of the cafeteria playing with magic cards?
What does that mean?
Okay, you didn't get it then.
The top hats.
Yeah, the top hat
Um,
with the trench coat.
Nice, yeah. But a couple other really interesting things about the mod, and of course, like any good mod, it adds like a ton of new weapons and items to the game, new armor sets and weapons. But the armor now all have like passive stat bonuses. Like all the armor that a mage would wear, like gives you like regeneration to your magic points to cast spells, and like you know the knight armor like increases your endurance so you have like more stamina and can carry weight. And there's
cool.
some like wackier set bonuses too, but it's just nice because like normally in a Souls game it's like it feels like it almost doesn't matter what armor you're wearing and you just pick what you personally think looks the coolest, but now you actually have like a reason. And the game also has transmog too, so you can like wear the armor that you want for the stats and then change your appearance to look like whatever you want.
Oh, that's
That's
nice.
cool.
Yeah,
That's super
and
cool.
there's a new system where whenever you kill a boss, it drops an item, and if you use the item, it lets you fight the boss again for as many times as you want. So, you know, there's usually boss souls you need to craft like 3 separate items. So if you want to like get the platinum trophy, you have to like beat the game 3 times or whatever.
Mhm.
But now you can just fight the boss over again, and then they also have
That's a good idea.
yeah, I really wish they would change that. Oh, another thing, this is probably going to be divisive depending on who you are, but I really like it. They took away weapon upgrading. Like you don't get Titanite anymore to just upgrade your weapons. Instead, the weapons have a higher base power and have like their max scaling. So the way that you get your weapon to do more damage is just upgrading your stats. And the reason
That's
I like
cool.
this system is because it allows greater flexibility and freedom in experimentation for the player. So if you find a new weapon that you think looks interesting, it's already as strong as it's ever going to be based on your stats. So you can just
Yeah.
switch to it and try it out. And if you like it, it's good to go. Whereas in the
that's
old
cool.
game, if you spend the whole game upgrading like your greatsword and you get a +10 greatsword and then you get a new weapon, you're like, oh, this seems cool, but oh well, it's level 0, so it's unviable literally, or unless I
And
want to.
you don't
yeah.
have to waste a bunch of time farming
Yeah,
that way as
exactly.
well.
That's
Um,
nice because that allows you to role play as your character's getting more experience playing with
Yeah.
that, or like using that weapon
Mhm.
and training with that weapon, whereas it's like, oh no, I've just got like this OP beastly sword that can cut
Yeah.
through a guy with 2 slashes.
So in lieu of that, the blacksmith still has functionality. Instead, what he does is you use your souls to craft key items at a bonfire that the blacksmith will use to put special buffs on your weapon. And like weapons, spell catalysts, and shields all have different buffs that are available to them. So like you can get a buff to put on your catalyst that like increases your max magic or like makes it like do more damage with melee attacks, and you can get a buff on your shield that like increases like soul absorption or increases your stamina regeneration and stuff like that. So yeah, it's just really, really cool. And then the only other thing I wanted to highlight from it was there's a system like in Supergiant games like Hades and Transistor and Bastion and stuff where you can choose to activate difficulty modifiers that increase how many souls you get from enemies. So that's a really interesting way to play the game. Like you can turn on a bunch of them and like make a boss fight like almost impossible, like giving the boss like 100% more damage, 100% more defense, like infinite stamina, HP regeneration, and all this stuff. But since you have those items that let you refight bosses, you can try it as many times as you want. And if you're successful, it's like a huge payoff on souls. But yeah, just a really, really dope mod. And I'm having a huge amount of fun replaying Dark Souls 3 with it. And in my opinion, fixes a lot of the major problems I had with Dark Souls 3. So it's been
So
really cool.
So, Caden, with this game or with this mod, like making Dark Souls 3 more tailor-made towards a better experience, how are you going to feel about Elden Ring when they go back to some of these like I usually joke about Elden Ring, but I'm serious. How are you going to feel about Elden Ring if they go back towards the game playing more like a Dark Souls 3 without a lot of these
Yeah.
mods that you're experiencing? Do you think
That's
that's
an
going to
interesting
take away
question. It's a
from
real like
the experience from you, or is your hype train like so far through the roof that you don't even care if it's actually a bad game?
Oh, I think bad game may be going a bit far,
I
because I
know.
would never say that Dark Souls 3 was a bad game. I mean, there's ways obviously you could make it better,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it was never bad.
No,
Um,
I'm not saying that Dark Souls 3 is a bad game. I'm saying, what if Elden Ring
yeah, I
actually turns out
understand.
to being a hot, steamy pile, and everyone's like, oh, it's so good because it's from software.
It's interesting you asked that because I've already thought about one aspect of that in relation to the Cinders mod, because they revealed that there will be discoverable collectibles in Elden Ring that allow you to summon NPC enemies to fight for you. And it's like, oh, well, this mod literally does that and came out before Elden Ring. So, did they steal the modder's idea? And then on top of that, the summoning system in the Cinders mod is really robust because, like I was saying, you can um, buy items that provide buffs for your summon to make them stronger. And the summons are also susceptible to your spells. So you can be a cleric who summons NPCs to fight for them and then use healing spells to keep your summon
Oh, that's
alive.
cool.
And I really highly doubt you're going to be able to do any of that to the NPC summons in Elden Ring. I think it's just going to be you summon him, he fights for you until the timer runs out or he dies or something. So
Okay,
yeah,
so
I don't know.
if you had to pick 3 things from this mod to put in Elden Ring, say Elden Ring is just running exactly the same way as DS3, what would
Yeah.
be like your main 3 things that you want to be in Elden Ring?
It would be the gear changes for sure. So take away weapon upgrading
Mm-hmm.
and implement set bonuses in armor.
Okay.
Allow me to refight bosses. That's just a fun experience on its own, despite the positive benefits of just gaining the souls from fighting the boss again. Because, you know, I guess in something like Monster Hunter, for example, when you fight the same monster over and over and over again, you get that satisfaction of the mastery of like eventually get to the point where the monster can't even touch you.
Okay.
But in Dark Souls, it's always like oh, I got by the skin of my teeth. And like, just being able to refight the bosses over and over again in this mod
Yeah.
and gain that mastery is really fun. So
That's cool. Okay.
those two, and then there's a lot of other ones, but I think that system they kind of ripped from Supergiant is just really dope.
Okay.
Those difficulty modifiers that give you more experience, because it just creates so many different ways to replay the game to make it harder and like tailor for the experience you want and like do wacky things. Like there's one that it just makes you blind. So like there's just a dark fog everywhere no matter where you go, so you can only see like 5 feet in front of you. So it's like if you try and play through the entire game like that, it's just insane. So
That's crazy.
yeah,
Sounds terrible.
yeah, it would be. It's an experience fighting a boss with that, but like that soul payout. But,
So, with the you said you get to refight bosses and whatnot, and my question is it like you go to a bonfire and then the boss respawns, or is it there's like a summon token on the floor that you walk up into the boss room and you just hit that,
so
and then
it
it'll
literally
resummon the boss?
drops an item that goes into your inventory. It's a
Okay.
usable item that has an infinite use, so it's not even like you just get one and then you use it and you're done or whatever.
Okay.
And when you go into your inventory and use the item, it teleports you outside of the boss area and then just resets the boss fight. So you're kind of like outside the fog wall, basically.
Gotcha.
And then you go back and the boss is there again.
Okay.
So, yeah, still super hyped for Elden Ring though. Like,
Yeah.
even if it does have those things, I'm sure it'll have other things and will be amazing.
Yeah.
So.
A
And then
horse.
later, yeah, there's no horse in Dark Souls 3 right now. And
You can't ride a
modders will get
horse.
their hands
You
on
can't
Elden
ride a
Ring.
horse in any other game. I mean,
No.
come on.
No,
Yeah,
it's
it's the only game with horse tech, right?
it's new horse technology. No one else has ever done it.
Nobody else has that kind of horsepower.
Oh, I
pretty
should
much it for
bleep
me.
you for that.
I'm here all week, folks.
Talk about a
Good night.
giga horse.
So yeah, sweet. That's our what you be playing segment. Thanks guys for that. And then doing things a little bit differently this week. We've in lieu of our community questions, moved our game to the end of our podcast. So I'm gonna toss it over to our game master, Wes Bates. Take it away.
Thank you. Yeah, so we're going to be wrapping things up in a fun way with a game. We're going to be playing Video Game 20 Questions as we do regularly on this show. Ryan, do you need an explanation? Or are you ready to jump in?
I'm good. Yeah.
All right, he's good. He's ready to go, folks.
Let's go.
Okay. All right, I have a game in mind. Working as a team, you guys have 20 questions.
All
Go
right,
ahead.
lads.
Whenever you're ready.
Let's try and narrow this down.
Use our
by-
experience.
Yes, use our
Yeah.
experience. So let's try and get a time frame. Do you guys want to go for a generation, or do you guys want to try and go for an exclusive? What are you guys thinking?
Let's try to get like a literal time frame. Let's maybe
Mhm.
like did it come out before or after X year? But what generation do we want to like call that year out?
Okay. I feel like Wes is feeling spicy, and he's gonna go for an old game this time.
Uh-oh.
I'm thinking.
What's the cutoff
SNES.
between? What's the cutoff between like PS2 and PS3? What year's that?
2006.
Seem good to you guys?
Yeah.
All right. Did it come out before 2006?
No.
Oh,
I was
all right.
wrong. I was wrong.
I think we usually have pretty good. It's a pretty good question. I always ask if it's multi-platform or not.
Go ahead.
Is the game multi-platform?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Multi-platform post 2006. What are you thinking, Ryan?
Single
Genre
player
self.
versus multiplayer.
Yes, that's a good one.
Is this a single player game?
No. Well, I
Multiplayer.
should clarify. You can play it single player, but it
has multiplayer.
it has multiplayer.
Okay.
Thanks for giving.
I don't want to throw you guys off on
yeah.
the wrong way. You're like thinking like it doesn't have any single player component. Because it
Right.
does.
Yeah, that would have thrown me. For
All right.
Sure.
So
All right.
my thoughts on that are I'm thinking it's gonna be Monster Hunter.
Ooh.
Could be.
So how do we narrow this down? We gotta ask if it's 2D or 3D, or if it's first person or third person.
Mm.
Yeah, let's. Is it a third-person game?
A third-person game?
Yeah.
Yes.
Is it 2D? Uh-oh. What does that mean?
I'm going.
2.5D.
I'm gonna say.
I don't like this at all.
I'm gonna say yes. I'm gonna say yes.
So it's a 2D third-person game.
What the hell?
Mm.
But it makes you have to think to consider whether or not it's 2D or 3D. What does that mean? So
Are there
I'm
any
assuming
tactics
maybe,
games? Like, I could think of like a tactics game kind of fitting that.
but like a multiplayer tactics game.
Is XCOM a multiplayer tactics game?
I have no idea,
I don't think so.
but I wouldn't call XCOM 2D. It's like isometric, but it's definitely fully
Yeah,
2D. I don't
guess,
think there's
yeah.
ambiguity there. All right, we need to come up with a better question. What you got, Ryan?
Maybe competitive versus cooperative. You get a sense
Yeah,
of multiplayer.
Yeah.
Is this game competitive with its multiplayer?
Yes.
Multi-platform.
What? Okay.
What? What?
Competitive. That's interesting.
I was just thinking Smash Brothers, but I was like, no, it's not multi-platform. We could try and narrow down the year again, like, so now it comes after 2006. We can say if it's before X year. You think that would help?
Let's say 2013. Did it come out after 2013? Wes, did the game come out after 2013?
Yes.
Okay. Fairly recent game.
See, what's popping into
2D,
my head is like
Third person.
Brawlhalla or something.
Yeah, but that's 2D for sure.
Yeah.
That's 2D.
Wait, did he say it was 2D or 3D?
Said it was 2D, but he had to think about it, and he said, I'm gonna say it's 2D.
Okay.
So, third person competitive multiplayer with single player 2D multi-platform after 2013. Whew, that's a mouthful.
What kind of, you guys want to ask,
Yeah, we
what
need
kind of
genre.
weaponry? Or
Yeah,
or
so like if
genre?
it's melee or like gunplay type of thing.
Yeah, that would probably help.
Does this game feature gunplay?
No.
Okay. Man, I really do think it's Monster Hunter now, but it's like Monster Hunter's definitely not 2D.
Yeah.
Also, Monster Hunter.
Monster Hunter also has guns.
Oh, that's true. That's true. What'd you say, Ryan?
It features gunplay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is this a Japanese game?
Oh, that's a good question for sure.
Yes.
Okay, Japanese developed, multi-platform, fairly recent. This 2D thing's throwing me off.
I know.
Yeah, that's
2D.
Oh god, is it that awful like drawn to death game?
I mean, that would still be. Alright, I'm possibly gonna burn a question here. Is this game a side scroller?
No. You wouldn't call it a side scroller. No.
Okay, so it's 2D, but it's not a side scroller. Like a top-down game, maybe?
Well, hang on. So, point of clarification. When you say, "Is it a side scroller?" Please clarify your question.
Okay, so
What
like,
are you asking me? Like,
I'm
you
asking
looking
if
at-
it's like,
are you looking at the way that you view the action?
yeah, so like Hollow Knight, Metroid Fusion, like that kind of thing. Just
If you're talking about the way that you view what's
like,
going
do
on
you
the
move
screen,
left or right.
I would say yes.
Okay, so it's gotta be like a weird, like 2.5D game.
Oh, dude, I was gonna be like, oh, it's like Inside or something, but that doesn't have multiplayer.
Yeah.
What is this game?
Okay.
Oh,
Is
that's
this
10
game?
questions, by the way.
Okay.
Yeah. Is this game free to play?
No.
Ah.
Hmm. Oh god.
Is this game extremely obscure?
We're-
That's not a real
Yeah,
question.
we're just like digging a hole again. Like it's
Yeah.
gotta be so obvious later. and,
Ryan.
like, how did we not?
Ryan, what you got? What you got, man?
I'm thinking of a game, but I'm not sold because it doesn't really have a single player segment.
Well, he didn't say it. He said you could play it single player. So what game are you thinking of?
I'm thinking of Killer Queen Black.
Oh.
Because I don't know, Wes might have tried to get something that I would pick up on very easily, and I played that game competitively for about 8 months.
Okay.
Would that game qualify as like an indie game? Like, what would be a way that we could narrow it down?
I got a question.
Yeah.
That Ryan, that game, it's all about like bees, right?
Kind of, yes.
Kind of, yeah. Wes, does this game have anything to do with bees?
No.
Dang. All right.
2D.
Like, what are some Japanese 2D competitive multiplayer games that you guys can think of?
Oh, was Killer Queen Black even a Japanese game?
Oh,
Probably
think
isn't.
so. Yeah.
Well, at least we know the game doesn't have anything to do with bees. So.
Yeah, it's good to know.
Important question.
Can you guys think of any?
I competitive
competitive
2D
multiplayer.
The only even maybe 2D thing I can think of would be Octopath. That's not competitive.
Yeah. So I think like top down. I think maybe. I was just thinking of like a Nidhogg, but that's not. I don't think that's Japanese developed. Wes just made a weird face. Maybe it is Nidhogg. Is that Japanese developed? I can't remember.
You can ask him if Nidhogg was a Japanese developed game. That's not asking him if it's a game.
Yeah, we could just start asking him like random things that don't have to even like. Wes, did you hate your first boss's guts? Okay.
Yes.
Oh, dang it. Now we're down to 8 questions. Okay. Does this game feature an anime aesthetic?
Yes.
I feel like that doesn't actually help me because I don't know, but maybe it'll help you guys.
What was that game that Wes was really into? It was a Kickstarter game. It's like a turn-based game.
Turn-based Kickstarter game?
Yeah, with like platforming and stuff.
I don't know.
It starts with an I, I think. Indivisible.
Oh, I don't think that was Japanese developed though.
So competitive doesn't necessarily mean combat.
Right.
I'm thinking of a game. It's called Nippon Marathon, where like you are racing through the streets of Japan.
I'm
got a
glad
very
you're here
anime-
because I wouldn't. Well, yeah, we can ask if it's a racing game because like that technically fits, competitive and does not feature guns. So.
Right.
Go ahead.
But wait, is it 2D?
It's isometric.
Okay.
I don't know.
Well, yeah, go
I don't-
ahead. Ask away.
It could go either way, which is why.
Ask him if
Is
it's
this a racing game?
No.
No.
Narrowing it down. Wait.
Oh,
It's got to be like a fighting game, right? Like some like Arc System Works. That all fits, right? Like Dragon Ball Fighters or
Kakarot.
Yeah, no, not that one. That's not
I
it,
mean,
but-
Dragon Ball Fighter Z is like. You
Yeah,
can
yeah.
ask him if it's a fighting game.
It's 2D, it's side scroller, it's competitive, it doesn't feature guns. Well, maybe it does, I don't know. But okay, yeah, is this an Arc System Works game?
Yes.
Yes! All right, we figured it out.
15.
We have 15. We're up after 15 questions. Okay, so all their games, they've got Dragon Ball Fighter Z, Blaze Blue, Cross Tag Battle or something like that, right?
Hey Wes, does
Or
this game
Extruder.
feature Goku?
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, we did it. Bring it up, Jonah.
Wes, is this game Dragon Ball Fighter Z?
Yes. You got it. 17 questions. I kept like thinking like genre. Narrow it down to genre.
Yeah, it's so weird. Like I hear competitive as in like fighting games, like don't even enter my head yet. You know, it's like it was so much easier than we made it out to be.
Oh, it's not a
Oh,
shooter?
man. Yeah. Huh. Weird.
I think
Must
what
be
was throwing me
Monster
off
Hunter.
was you said yes to third person.
It
Yeah,
is a
like,
third.
technically,
You
yeah.
you view it. You're not
Yeah.
playing in a
Yeah,
first
yeah,
person
I
mode.
guess.
I mean,
Yeah.
We like overcomplicate. Okay, so in the future,
what would you say? Would you say that's not a third person game?
No, because we usually refer to third person games as like over the shoulder. Like
Well, so
I
what?
don't know.
How would you define that then?
Yeah, it's technically. I think I'd say it's technically third person, but
Technically, it's third person. I
Third
guess.
person is you viewing
Yeah.
somebody else. Like
But
it doesn't
I
matter
guess
if
you
it's
would
over the
just say,
shoulder
like,
or from
in
the side.
conversation, random with like a normal person, you just be like, "Oh, it's a 2D game." Like you wouldn't
Yeah.
say it's a third person game. But so yeah, we just dug our own hole on that one. But yeah, when we do this in the future, Jonah, we need to narrow down genre first. That's the key. You keep forgetting to do that.
Hey, it makes
All
it
right,
more
cool.
interesting, right?
You guys got it. You're
Yeah,
still
yeah.
you're still
It was
undefeated
dramatic.
with this
It was
game.
dramatic.
I
Two
have not
questions
stumped you yet.
Yeah, what was the closest we got?
I
Like,
think it was Dead
it
it was
Space.
really close.
It was the last time that we did. It was Control.
Oh yeah,
You
it was
guys got it
Control.
on the very last. You all you had
Wow.
left was the guess, and you got it up, like pulled it out. So
Incredible. All
Yeah.
right. Well, thanks so much, guys. Thanks, Ryan, for being on with us. It's a great time having you
Oh.
on.
Thanks for having me. This was an absolute blast. Yeah.
Yeah. We'll just go around real quick with our final words. I'll let Jonah go first. If there's anything you want to shout out with the great game debate, I know we're about to do our first game club after the E3 season. If you want to give that a shout out.
Yeah, so I got a few things to cover because we've kind of been popping off
That's
lately.
true. Yeah, that's true.
So first off, we do have our game club. We are playing Until Dawn, and our discussion will be on Sunday, July 25th. Right? Right, Wes?
Correct.
Yes.
Like that.
yes,
Second off, we have a giveaway going on. Actually, I think the giveaway will be over by the time this gets posted, but we had a giveaway going on. Our good friend and moderator, Hunter Pearson, is going to be playing a round of speed golf in the new Mario Golf game. And basically, you just get your votes in, guess what time he'll get, and we will probably announce the winner on the next episode of the podcast for that Crowsmack poster. And speaking of Crowsmack poster, we decided to do a donation for Summer Games Done Quick, and that went up yesterday. Yeah. We were trying to see how much we were gonna get to put in, and then we're like, you know what, let's throw out some incentives. We got more Crowsmack posters, and we got some of our donation fund left that we can, or like the mod and admin donation fund towards the community and stuff. And so our first donation incentive was if we hit $250, we'll give away another Crowsmack poster, and then if we hit over $500, we'll do a $50 gift card of the winner of the drawing's choice, and we get $590. So thank you to everyone in the
Thanks so
Great
much
Game
to our
Debate community for coming together, gathering that money. All that money went to Doctors Without Borders. So thank you. You all are fantastic people.
and
So
big shout out to Zach Pearson for
Yeah.
organizing that
Yeah.
whole thing.
both
So
Thanks,
the
Zach.
Pearson brothers coming through as fantastic mods, just helping us
true.
come up with these awesome giveaways and donation incentives. So big thank you to Hunter and Zach for that.
Oh yeah, and I just want to take the opportunity to shout out Crossmack Art.
Yeah,
He
dude.
donated those posters to us for free. Check out Crossmack on Twitter, Instagram. He has the most amazing video game posters. So check
Yeah.
out.
Oh yeah, he's got like I don't even know how many.
Oh, a
Probably
ton.
close to 100 that he's done.
Yeah, the level of
for
quality he maintains, pumping those things out as fast as he
for a
does.
ton of series. So
Yeah,
yeah,
his-
please check out his stuff. I bought like 8 of his posters,
Yeah,
and
incredible.
they're all amazing.
Yeah, so we got those. We're gonna get those figured out and sent out. Brian, I'm sorry, I'm working on getting yours sent out to you, but rural Ireland is kind of hard to ship to.
Getting there.
We're getting there. So yeah, I think that's all I've got for you guys. If you guys want to follow me on Twitter, Snaplink4. If you guys want to follow the Great Game Debate, it's at Great Game DEB8. And invite a friend to the Discord. We love talking to people about games. That's why we have a podcast. And that's why we started doing debates for you.
Sweet. All right, Wes, final word.
I just want to say, like, along with those giveaways that Jonah mentioned, we will have 2 more posters to give away. So we'll be giving the details on how those giveaways are going to work coming up in the future. And Jonah already mentioned we've got the game club coming up. So get started playing until dawn. There's still time. You can still run through that thing pretty quickly. You can kill off all your teenagers super fast and have a great story about it. So,
yep.
Yeah, join us. It'd be awesome. I just also wanted to shout out Spelunkers and Ryan, and you guys do some awesome content over there. And just thanks again so much for joining us.
Yeah, dude. Thanks for coming on. It's been a blast having you on.
My pleasure. This was so much fun.
Cool.
Absolutely.
And your final word, Ryan?
I'm going to shout out Spelunkers. Surprise, surprise. Yeah, so we're doing Okami right now. If you've played that game ever, we're going to be recording our last chunk on the 22nd of July. So any thoughts, comments, questions, you can leave them on our Discord or send them into Gmail, spelunkerspodcast@gmail.com. Or on Twitter, we are at the Spelunkers, and you can check our Twitter for future game clubs. Coming up after Okami, we're going to be doing Chris Tales, which we're very excited about. Yeah, very hyped to play that game. And check out our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Spelunkers. We've got a lot of streams going on all the time. Tuesdays, I'm playing Pokemon. Wednesday, Chris is playing Resident Evil for the 25th anniversaries for both of those series this year. Tom and Tyler have their Wasted series. Every Saturday, they get together and play co-op games while they drink. It's a very good time. And they just started a new podcast. I'd like to shout that out because it's a really fun listen called Last Call, where right after they finish playing on stream, they get together and record 20-30 minutes about the game they were just playing, a little bit of life, but it's fun because they're already drunk. So
did they finish It Takes Brew already?
I think they would have this week, but Tyler had his brother's wedding to attend to. So last night was wasted with Tom, myself, and Chris playing 5 hours of Battlefield 5.
That's a lot of Battlefield.
Also, if you are looking for an awesome teammate for Knockout City, Ryan absolutely kicks ass at that game. It is insane how good he is at that game.
Don't hype me up too much. I'm rusty. It's been a few weeks since I've played.
Dude, I tried calling you out the other night, and you're like, I can't. I'm playing right now. I'm playing something else right now. And I was like, we need you. Zach and I were getting dominated so hard. We needed a team captain, man.
I should play more, though. That game is a ton of fun. Yeah, happy to play Knockout City with anybody.
It's nice. It's cheap. Nice. It's on Game Pass. If you have EA Play on Xbox, it's on there. Or you can get it through EA Play. Or PC Game Pass, you get EA Play automatically, and that's how I have it. And it's crossplay. You can play with anybody, and that game's absolutely fun. It's nice and wholesome, so you don't have to worry about killing people or whatever. It's a great game. Great game.
This podcast sponsored by Knockout City and Game Pass.
We have so many sponsors. This podcast
I wish, dude.
Cool. Well, I've been your host, Kata Bertha Lane. My final word is Magic the Gathering D&D crossover adventures in the Forgotten Realms. Get into it. And as always, happy gaming.
Bye, y'all.
Go play a PC.
As always, a big thank you to our friend Misdriven for the music in our podcast. If you like what you hear and you want to check out more of what they have, you can pay them a visit on Twitter at MIST_RIVEN 719 or on Bandcamp at Misdriven. Thanks again for tuning in. Till next time.